And so I walked into the corner of the Starbucks on 49th and Madison. And I see a woman there who's in line to get a coffee. I get in line to get a coffee, and she's pregnant. And she's got these yoga pants on, maybe looks like she just came from like some sort of prenatal yoga or something, right? She's got a Whole Foods bag, and in my head I'm like, okay, jackpot. Pregnant, yoga pants, Whole Foods bag, she lives here. This woman needs more space. So I went up and I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, hi, my name's Ryan. Would you like to buy, rent, or sell real estate? You look beautiful, and you look like you need more space. And she laughed. I'll never forget it. This was the end of 2008. She laughed, and she said, you know, actually, that's so funny you bring that up. Are you a real estate agent? And I was young, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, actually I am. I'm one of the best in the world. And she's like, well, you know, that's so funny because we are actually looking for more space. Yes. I got one. All right. Got it. I didn't do that. In my head, I did that. In person, I was like, you don't say. So funny, because I'm actually about to go show a 3-bedroom on 66th and 1st right now. And then she says to me, which I'm sure you get all the time, I would love to see it, but I'm already working with somebody. I'm working with another agent already, but thank you so much. How many times have you tried to sell a cruise to someone and they say, you know what, I already have a travel advisor, raise your hand. Yeah. Or they say, you know what, I book all my vacations online, raise your hand. Right? Right? Boom, objection 1. But I didn't quit because my back was up against a wall. I needed to pay rent. And I'm gonna figure out how to pay rent with pregnant Alice right now. Okay? So then I said, well, that's okay. There's a lot of agents in this city. You know, maybe I could show you something that your agent hasn't shown you, and I've got a lot of things for sale, and buying is a great investment, and I went into this whole like preconceived speech that I had in my head because finally someone's talking to me, and then she gave me objection number 2, which is, that all sounds great. The market's really, really bad. I don't think I can afford to buy something right now. As you saw, Lehman Brothers just filed for bankruptcy. That part was true, okay? We're actually looking to rent something. Okay. How many times have you tried to sell a cruise to somebody and they say, you know what, we don't really like cruises. I don't know, I've never been on one. They seem super expensive. We're just gonna do a road trip. Raise your hand, right? Or we're just gonna stick to the land. We're gonna fly somewhere. Raise your hand, okay? Just another objection. And so what I said to her, instead of walking away, which most salespeople would do, is I said, that's okay. I do rentals too. I'm an agent, I'm an advisor, I can work with you. Why don't we do this? Why don't you just get your information? You know, I gave myself a quota to meet 5 new people a day. Whether you work with me or not, I'd love to just add you to my database. I won't harass you. I'd love to send you some things. Maybe I'll send you an apartment that your current agent hasn't sent you before. And if you'd love to see it, I'd love to show it to you. And she looked at me, and she didn't really know how to say no to that. So she said, okay. And she gave me her email. Contact one of the day. Remember I told you I had a quota of 5, right? Jackpot. Now I run back up to my office and I sent her a bunch of listings right away because I wanted to be on top of it. By the time she got home, changed out of her prenatal yoga pants, put the Whole Foods stuff back into the refrigerator, I wanted her to check her email and see, wow, that Ryan kid with the cowboy boots from Starbucks already sent me listings. And that's what happened, and she responded. And one of them she actually liked. And she said, I'd actually love to see this tomorrow. And it was something for sale. So she didn't really know what she wanted, now did she? Nuh-uh, no you didn't, ma'am. I'm gonna show you the dream. Okay? End of 2008, I took her out the next day, showed her that, and I showed her something else that I didn't even send to her. Because no one knows what they want, right? No one knows what they want until you show it to them. Same way no one knows how awesome a cruise is until they actually experience it. And then once they do, then they're addicted for life. How could you ever go to a cabin in the woods after going on a cruise? I don't know. There must be something physically wrong with you, right? And then I went back to my office after showing her things and I was invigorated. You know what, this is my calling. I just met someone on the street getting coffee and I just showed her a product. That's 90% of our job. Meet the person, make the relationship, show them the product. You can't put a gun to their head, you can't lead a horse to water, all that stuff. But if I stay on top of her, I'm gonna get something done. She didn't like what I showed her, but she said, you know, next week, let's go see some things. Okay, great. So I put it into my calendar. Every Thursday morning, I'm going to send her some listings. I don't want to harass her, that she could come and see, and hopefully she'll come and see them, and I'll close her. She won't work with the other advisor. She won't worry about the internet because she knows I'm on top of it. And I'm hungry too, like physically, literally. And that was my MO. And in the meantime, because I was so motivated, I also decided, you know what? This is my career. This is what I'm going to do. Because sales, like I said, has no ceiling. Like I could just go meet 10 pregnant Alices. Maybe that's my niche. That's going to be my thing. Right? I'm going to go down the street. If you're pregnant, I am coming for you. Because guess what? You need more space. And I'm going to find you that space. Even if it's in a convertible 2-bedroom for $4,000 a month in the East Village with some questionable people about outside, all right? I will take care of you because I know everything, because I stay up till midnight every night learning about this business and learning everything. I will be there all the time because I am there for you. I am there for you. That's what an advisor does. And I showed her some more things, and she didn't like those. And then every Thursday, I wake up, and first thing I would do, send Alice listings. And then I go to the office, and I devised this whole system for myself because time management was kind of a problem for me. How much of a problem is it for you for time management? Right? Raise 2 hands if it's a problem. There you go. That's the hands I'm looking to see. Next year, when they bring me back, I want half those hands down, okay? Because no one tells us what to do every day. What they do is they say, go and sell 30 million cruise ships, right? How am I going to do that, Charlie? I love you so much. So I had to figure out what to do. I didn't really have quotas. No one cared, right? I'm a licensed real estate salesperson. I'm an independent contractor. I am only as good as my 1099. That's it. Whatever I bring home at the end of the year on that 1099, that honestly, unfortunately and fortunately, is the definition of my success, that S word that I was looking for so much when I was a little kid. And so I figured out how to kind of create time management for myself. I said, you know what? Every morning, I'm going to be my own CEO. Okay? I called it my finder time. And I literally put it into my calendar to this day. I'm going to wake up in the morning, and I'm going to think about my business as a whole. That's my finder time, right? What am I going to do to get more business? Because what they don't tell you in any training, especially for real estate agents, is my job isn't turning lights on. My job isn't negotiating deals or client relationship. My job is finding new business. That's my job, is to find new leads every single day. So that's what I did in the beginning of every day. The middle of the day, I'd brainstorm on how I was going to put those things into action that I just figured out in the morning. I called that my keeper time. And then the rest of the day, I actually put those things into action. Whether it was knocking on doors, or whether it was sending out postcards or mailers, or I had this great idea, how do I convince people to buy instead of rent? I'm going to do a flyer. I'm going to go out into the street. I'm going to tell people, if you're looking to rent, you should buy because sometimes it's actually cheaper to own than it is to rent. I'm going to go after those people. I'm also going to go to message boards, and I'm going to find people who are really pissed off because there is nothing people love more than hearing themselves speak, right? And misery loves company. So I go to message boards, and I'd find people who had a really bad time with a real estate agent, and I'd talk to them. I'd let them vent to me. Talk to me. I'm your advisor. Just talk to me. Let me tell you what went wrong. Let me talk to you about it. If you had a bad time renting your last apartment or buying something, talk to me. There's nothing people who are pissed off who love more than going online and writing about how pissed off they are. That's news, right? That's media. No one clicks on things that are good. No one has a really great day, comes home, and goes online and writes about how awesome their day was. Unless it's a lie and it's on Instagram, right? So I'd go after those people. And then again, next Thursday, I'd wake up and I'd send Alice an email with listings. And slowly, she disappeared. Ghosted me. My first client completely disappeared on me. Fast forward 10 years to the end of 2018. Thursday morning, I send Alice listings the same way I always have for 10 years. She hasn't responded to me in like 9.5. She writes me back. Hey, Ryan, so sorry, been a little busy. 10 years. So in my body, like where I'm sending this email, I'm like, holy mother of God. She wrote back. She's alive. She hasn't bought something else. I'm in it. Literally my whole career, I'm trying to sell Alice something. She comes back to me. But as the agent I am, wrote back a nice little simple email. Hey, Alice. So good to hear from you. I know it's been a while. 10 years. Would you like to chat about what you're looking for? Actually, yeah, she would. Now she's on top of me. Talked to her on the phone. She says, thank you so much for staying on top of me. Things have been crazy. Like life, jobs, kids, all that stuff. I'm like, I know because I follow you on every single form of social media. Jimmy's 10 now. Isn't that crazy? And your dog, I'm so sorry what happened. What are you looking for now? She says, well, actually, before we were only looking for like a small apartment up to about $1 million. Now things have changed. I want to find a loft in Soho somewhere between $15 and $20 million. Can you help me? Yes, I can! I've waited 10 years for this moment. Granted, during these 10 years, I built my entire career, my entire business. I got on a TV show. I got another TV show. I just put out a book. I have this vlog that people watch all over the world. I got married. I just had a baby. But I'm here for you, Alice, because I will never forget those prenatal yoga pants in that box of Whole Foods. Because I am an advisor. You don't have to pay me a salary. You don't have to pay me benefits. I'm going to be here till the day you die. Because guess what? I'm outlasting every single one of you. I took her out literally the next week, and she bought something for $16 million. Now, if I told you that story from the beginning, right, of 2018, you'd say to me, oh, well, Ryan, listen, because it's you, right? Because you're Ryan Serhant, and this, and the blah, 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 blah. Of course someone paid that much money to buy an apartment through you. I met her when I was 24 in Starbucks with khaki pants, cowboy boots, and a cowboy belt. After I met her, I went home to my apartment that was roughly this size, and I took a shower that I shared with a lot of other people, right? That's where I met her. That's where that relationship started, and I will never forget it. Because I stayed on top of her. I structured my day, I followed up with her, and I realized who I'm actually working for. Success for me isn't doing a deal today. Success for me isn't the cruise ship that you're going to sell to someone tomorrow, that trip. No, success for me and success for you, going forward from this moment on, is where you're going to be in 5 years, right? Where you're going to be in 10 years, okay? Who's going to be in this business with me selling in 10 years? Raise your hand. Raise 2 hands, okay? Because we are in the greatest business in the history of the world. No one ever is going to go to any one of you in this room and say, you know what? You sold too much. You sold too many cruise tickets. You need to pipe it down, Bill. No one's ever going to say that, okay? All you're going to get is jealousy in the workplace when people say, man, how is she selling so much? I don't get it. I don't get it. And then you're going to make the decision. Instead of going into negativity, instead of going into misery, you're going to stay positive. And you're going to remember that tomorrow the sun is going to come up again for you and for the next person. And you're going to do everything you can to meet as many people as you can, to sell them something that what they thought was maybe something they wanted, a nice luxurious trip, or for me, a beautiful, expensive apartment. And you're going to convince them, because you know more than they do, that it's something that they need. You're going to turn wants into needs. You're going to flip negatives into positives just like that, because you're going to work on it every day. And you're going to change the way you work now, going forward from this day on, because you are the greatest advisor in the history of the world. You tell yourself that. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you look at yourself in the mirror first thing in the morning, and I want you to say to yourself, I am the greatest travel advisor in the history of the world. And if someone doesn't want to work with me today, shame on them. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for my clients because I'm not working for me today. I'm working for me in 10 years from now. In my office, I have a photo of myself, aged to 80 years old. I keep that by my computer screen, and it reminds me every day who I work for. Because last thing I remember, I was 24. Last thing I remember before that, I was 10 years old trying to make my little brother disappear in front of my parents. Life is fleeting. It is so fast. Figure out what wall you're gonna put your back up against. What is it? Is it rent? Is it bills? Is it your kids? Is it student loans? Is it car payments? Or is it just because you wanna be successful and you wanna be more successful than anybody else? And you chose sales to make that happen because no one can tell you no? You picture yourself 10 years from now, you go work for that person's gonna shake your hand and say, thank you so much. Thank you for working for me. Your clients are gonna say the same thing to you. Thank you very much. They put that salesperson hat on and they would focus so much on being a seller, right? And there's that phrase that says a watched pot never boils. Like, that's really important because the worst thing that you can do when trying to make somebody a client or trying to make someone a customer is to actually try to make them a client or actually try to make them a customer, right? Selling is just dating. That's all it is. Like, how weird would it be if you walked into a bar, tapped on someone's shoulder and said, hey, do you need anything? Let me know if you need anything, I'm gonna be right over here. You laugh because that would be weird, right? You don't put on your, I'm gonna meet a boyfriend or girlfriend hat when you walk into a bar, right? If anything, you dial that back. You try to stay relaxed, you try to stay cool, you try to stay yourself because you know what you're really trying to do is create a relationship that hopefully will last longer than 20 seconds. The stages of grief are identical to the stages of selling. And if you just know what they are, you can anticipate all of them so that someone's not mad at me. I just know they're in stage 3, right? They're in stage 3 and they're gonna go to stage 4 and I'm gonna calm them down in stage 5 and I just have to get them to stage 6. So it's not mad. They're not also excited because I know what's coming next, and what comes next after excited is they start to have buyer's remorse, right? Then they start to feel like they got ripped off and this, that, the other, and then they're gonna get angry, so I know they're going there. You can anticipate and set those expectations and those emotions. For selling and for dating, you are in a much better place.
In your job though, in selling, what trust and like in real estate, it's sometimes overused in selling. You got to get people, I believe it's very simple. What you do really well is you connect emotionally to people. Yes. People buy on emotion for logical reasons, no more than any other place than real estate, because it's the most emotional purpose. What do you do to emotionally connect to your clients?
It's all about finding that one little thing you have in common, especially at the beginning. Because you have to remember too that clients aren't clients, just the same way your best friend wasn't your best friend initially, right? Everyone, no matter when you met them, was at one point in time a stranger. Like when you realize that, then you can go up and talk to people on the street a lot easier. You can walk into parties and talk to random people without having that weird anxiety because you remember, oh wait, my best friend Caleb at home, he was a stranger that first time I met him and that probably was weird, but we had that one thing in common. What was it? Oh, it was real estate and we both liked Homeland or whatever it was, right? So you're finding that one little thing in common so that you're not focusing on the sell, because when you focus on something too much, a watched pot never boils, right? So you're not focusing on the sell, you're focusing them just on two human beings. What do we have in common? Maybe it's sports, maybe it's cars, right? Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's food. You find something you have in common and you let that conversation kind of happen between the two of you, and that immediately, that eye contact, kind of the smiling, the fact that you like something that I like, and we're two random people among 7 billion in the whole world, holy shit, maybe we could be friends. Everybody wants to go shopping with friends. Everyone hates to be sold. And so that's how you build that initial trust. And that's the same thing with—
Say that one more time, because that's a very valid, everybody.
It's, no one likes to be sold. Everyone loves to go shopping with friends.
Everyone likes to go shopping with friends. That's a beautiful line. That's gold right there. And
the same goes for dating, right? Like it's amazing to me how it's all the same. Like I tell new salespeople who are single, right? Who are single and they're like, what could I do? I could say, okay, you do this, this, this. Also, go on Tinder, go online, go on as many dates as you can, right? And the ones that don't work out, you follow up and get feedback. Get feedback, see what you're like in a cold open. See what you're like at the bar. Maybe you're really weird and you just don't know it. Maybe you say the stupidest shit and you just don't know it. That's really important
And you
because
should know it.
the way you act on a first date with someone you just met online is the way you act with a first client, the way you probably met them online through a showing request or at an open house. And if you're awkward, you need to figure that out now in a safe environment that's not going to cost you money. And it goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think surrounding as you are building your brand and utilize as an expert and as a personality, you get it out of a situation where people like you and I actually are bred on no, right? I have a saying, I can change someone's idea of no by just telling them you're only 25 no's away from getting from what you want. So I started thinking in my mind, oh good, I'm stoked. I just got my 5th no, because I know I'm only so many no's from getting what I want. How do you teach, because that's the emotional rejection side for your salespeople, how do you teach them to deal with no?
Ask the same question they just asked again, like they never heard it before. Like it's, people only say no because people don't like commitment, and sometimes they really mean it, and that's fine. Like they're not gonna win everybody, but for the most part, people don't commit to something and they say the word no because they just don't like commitment. Like naturally, human beings, we don't like it. We like to keep our options open. Like I don't want to commit to you right now because I could find something better on Amazon. Like I don't want to commit to you right now because I don't even know why. It's just easier to say no. Like it's always much easier not to do something than it is to do something. And so it's also about presenting new ways of value and showing them different ways to look at something. So the same way I just talked to you about, that client who, don't worry about the $500,000 now. Let's think about the next deal because you are buying something else and you're going to do this and do that. It's a different way for them to say, oh, maybe I'm not really taking a loss. Maybe it is $4 million in my pocket today that opens me up for future opportunities. And the person I'm really working for is future Ryan, not Ryan right now who's losing $500,000.
Right.
And then it's not a no, right? Then it's a sort of, which will eventually turn into a yes.
And you lock yourself in for future client, future commissions by aligning that vision to them.
Always. I mean, I came to the city, and I think one of my biggest, in retrospect, it was a benefit to me in sales is I came to New York to be an actor, and I spent 2 years here. I had some money saved up because my grandfather died, and I had my roofing money, right? And I was like, I'm gonna be able to live here for 10 years, which wasn't true. And I tried to be an actor. Like there is nothing unlike personal rejection to your face when you're trying to be an actor in New York City. And it's legitimately, it's because of your face.
Sales training.
Right, it's because of your face.
But you were a hand model, so you got away with it.
Yeah, well, because I wasn't a good enough model. So that's like what my brothers always said to me. They were like, dude, just because you're not good enough as a model, they had to only take photos of your hands. And so it's to your face. Like no one has ever told me, I'm not gonna buy that apartment because of your face. Like that's what helped me in those initial couple years in the sales business of getting around the rejection and the objections. It was never personal about like my appearance. It was never like personal to the core, and that's super helpful.
It's super interesting because as a former sports agent, working for Lee, the clients always wanted to go into the negotiation, and I had to explain to them that
you don't want to hear what they're saying.
You don't want to hear it because I mean, how do you play for a team when through negotiations all they're doing is pointing out all your weaknesses?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Instead of course they're not going to point out all the things they love about you.
Yeah.
They're trying to get you as cheap as possible. Now I have a philosophy I want to get your feedback on. I believe in the 3 no's. I believe if you're not ready to walk, you're not ready to sell. Right? And I believe in pure value, being able to articulate at least 5 times the value of anything I'm selling so I can have that confidence. But I also believe in the energy of 3 no's, meaning that in circumstantial sales, that any time that the universe tells me no, so something happens, the car breaks down, the guy doesn't show up. On the 3rd time, what I say is, hey, look, I really have to spend my time with the clients that this is working for or something, and then tell them, I just can't, pursue this any longer. If you would like to move forward, I'm more than happy, so please let me know. After that 3rd universal no, so sometimes it's just an excuse or whatever. It could be legitimate, but I believe, and what's ironic is when I took on this philosophy, 50% of the people that I tell this to close or do what I want, and the other 50% I never hear from again, which means I just saved a ton of money chasing something I never was going to get.
It's on a time.
Do you have any tricks or philosophies that are similar to that?
Unfortunately, no. Maybe I'll steal that one.
Good, please. No, that's a huge compliment.
This is when I first started taking first impressions into account. So this is a little book. It says, "We know real property" on the front. It says Serhant team. So I saw that most agents, when they were going into listing pitches, they would show up to the listing pitch, they'd have a pitch package with them, they'd have their iPad, whatever they do, and that was it. And I said, okay, how am I gonna get a leg up on that? How am I gonna have a better first impression than every other agent who's gonna be pitching against me next Tuesday at 5 p.m.? So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get something and I'm gonna send it to the seller ahead of time. So I spent a lot of time and a lot of money. I created this book. So this is the Serhant team pitch book. And it's got all the photos, it's got facts, it's got our marketing plan, it's got our bios, who we are, information about the team, trusted partners, everything, different press, our new development process, different types of properties that we've done all over the country. I send this in a little black box to sellers ahead of time that says, good talking to you 5 minutes ago. I'm really looking forward to meeting next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Let me know if you have any questions beforehand. That way, when I get there, he's already gotten this information, probably gone through it, at least a little bit. First impression is already set that, wow, I spoke to Ryan 5 minutes ago and he sent me his pitch book, messengered it to my door in this cool little black box. He's already taking an investment in our relationship that no other broker has done. That goes a long way. I think I've sold a lot more just because of having this book and by really focusing on that first impression. Because like I said earlier, if the first impression sucks, that first impression is synonymous with last impression.
So tell us why this dirty sounding little word, but it's actually quite insightful, called Getting FKD, is important to you and those who look to you for sales guidance.
Getting FKD is Finder, Keeper, Doer. And it was a system that I set up when I got into real estate because I had no mentor. Like there's no sales books that told me what to do at 9 a.m. That was a problem. Like if you don't have anyone telling you what to do and you're a salesperson and you're brand new and you're sitting at a desk by yourself, which is exactly what I was doing on 49th and Madison. It's like, okay, well, what do I do right now? There's no leads, there's no nothing. It's like, all right, sit at a computer and post cold ads. Okay, for how long? For 2 hours, 4 hours? Should I just go meet people on the street? What do I tell them? Do I tell them I'm a real estate agent even though I have no listings? What's a co-op? There was just no training whatsoever in terms of what to do, right? You can have tons of training about what to do once you have problems and once you have deals, once you have listings, once you have clients, once you have a network. But especially at the beginning, figuring out what do you do when you wake up and what do you do when you go to bed? And how do you do that consistently over time so you can build a sales career is really what I wrote the book about and what the vlog is about and everything. And Finder, Keeper, Doer is how I structure my day. So it's at the beginning of my day, let's say 8 to 10 a.m. if I can. Now my days are totally different, but this was definitely when I started. 8 to 10 a.m. would just be my Finder time. And it's really about focusing your mind to do what you want to do to be productive. And during that Finder time, I was in the office and I would think about ways to grow my business, things I wanted to do, ways that I was going to do it. Who should I go after? Even as simple as, everyone on the Forbes list, I'm going to go after them. And then I'm going to talk to that real estate data company and I'm going to figure out how they get emails for people that are on the Upper East Side that are moving. And then I want to send a postcard to that building because I did a rental in there. All that stuff I think about in the Finder time. Sometime in the middle of my day, let's say after I had some appointments or so, it'd be Keeper. And the Keeper time is when I would focus on money or the lack thereof and any money that I would have to be able to spend on the postcards or on buying emails or, figuring out my e-blast system and all that stuff I would do during that Keeper time because it's important, right? To really, really focus until your brain is wired in such a way that you can be a CEO all day long and do everything at the same time. Most people can't do that. And so you have to have separation. And most entrepreneurs and most salespeople don't have enough money to hire people to tell them what to do and how to do it. So you got to do it on your own. And then the rest of the day was my doer time. So that's the D. And that was when I would actually go do everything. So I would go pass out the flyers. I would put postage on letters to be able to send out my mailers. I would go and actually network and go and actually show people. And when you first start off as a salesperson, you're spending the majority of your time as a doer, right? Because you're doing all the stuff. You're painting, you're mailing, you're emailing.
And chief bottle washer.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a beautiful thing.
You do all the same thing. And then your goal is to become more and more and more of a finder. And that was an easy way for me, not having gone to business school or anything and just knowing, okay, I've got to sell to make money to pay my rent. It was an easy way for me to structure my day for success.
It's like the 5 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance.
Yeah, of course. It's not like I had a bunch of widgets in my pocket or in a storage room or something. It's not like I worked at a shoe store and I had, all right, sell these shoes to the people who walk in. It's, when you're a real estate salesperson in New York and you're at the beginning and you don't have a mentor, you're not part of a team, you're absolutely by yourself. And it's sink or swim, figure it out.
Yeah, listen, the bottom line is it's work ethic. It's having the ability to string syllables together, which is, being likable. Those are a lot of those are underrated traits.
Sure.
Mantra of yours is follow up, follow back, follow through. So tell us why those in real estate and sales should follow your mantra. And if they do, will go a long way to being successful, having basically a flock of clients following them.
Yeah. So follow up is 100% my secret sauce, right? Like my ability to follow up with you until you die is the entire way that I sell properties. I do not forget anybody. I do not forget anything. Like I follow up and my team has follow-up systems set up and we stay on top of people until they buy. Like case in point, not to talk too much about this, but sometimes I think it's helpful to kind of give by example. In 2009, I met a person in Starbucks, right, on 49th and Madison. I've been in the business for like 6 months, right, because I started in September. So yeah, beginning of 2009, 6 months. She was looking for an apartment, uptown, rentals, and I introduced myself because that's what I did. I had no shame. I had no money, so I had no shame. It's like, hey, my name is Ryan Serhant. I'm a real estate agent.
It's a great motivator.
I would love, you have to back yourself up against a wall, right, which is a whole separate conversation we could talk about. But and I would introduce myself to everybody because what's the worst that could happen? They'd say no or not talk back. It's like, okay, well, that's exactly where I started. What's the best thing that could happen? They'd say, sure.
What Yates said? Yates said, strangers aren't strangers. They're just friends who haven't yet met.
Yeah, of course.
So that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Networking.
Yeah. No one likes to be sold. Everyone loves to go shopping with friends. Right, that's an important one. So, so I met this girl, and I showed her some things for rent, and then she got her husband involved. They were from New Jersey, and then they wanted to see some things possibly for sale because if they're going to spend money on the rent, then they should look for sale. And their budget was like $1 million, and then it was kind of like $2 million, and then they were kind of looking at other things. And then, then they completely disappeared. And hold on one second. My wife, if she FaceTimes me, I have to pick it up. 1 second. Hi, baby. Hold it. Okay, we're doing a podcast. Zena, this is your first podcast.
Hi, Zena. Hi, Amelia.
Hi.
He's doing pretty well for first day at the rodeo.
Yeah. Baby, I'll see you a little bit later. Have fun with your ball. I love you. Bye. When Zena calls me, I have to pick up.
No, absolutely.
I don't ever want to be that dad. Anyway, so I showed them a bunch of things to sell, and then they totally vanished off the face of the earth. But I followed up with them every other week. I'd send them both, listings every other week. Fast forward to 2017. So that was 2009 to 2017. And he finally writes me back after following up with him every other week. Email is free, by the way. And I have a lot of people that I follow up with all the time. And he writes me back and says, hey, sorry, I've been a little bit busy. Got your emails. Let's talk. Got on the phone with him. And to make a long story short, he got divorced, has been really busy building his business in New York City. And he wants his own place now. And he knows a lot of other people and a lot of brokers, but I was super persistent and he wants to give me a shot. And so, he remembered me as this little rental broker. And then I kind of clued him in on what I had been doing. He was like, oh, good. Good thing you stayed in touch with me. Then next week I sold him an apartment on West Broadway in Soho for $16 million. That was 2017. And this past June, I sold him a house in the Hamptons for $40 million. And then I sold the ex-wife a house for $16 million because I followed up every other week. And so I tell people that story now. I mean, it literally just happened because everyone's like, yeah, I follow up all the time. I'm like, no, I don't think you do.
No, it's persistence. You get them to see reason. If that doesn't work,
and
hopefully they wave the white flag and they call you.
Follow up, follow through, follow back is very important because it's follow up with value, right? It's not just, a lot of people follow up and they're annoying. They harass. It's like they use the phone. Like who wants to talk on the phone anymore? There's different ways to follow up and there's different ways to be in touch with people. I follow up with people now a lot, like through their kids, through social media. Like there's different ways to do it. Follow through is doing what you say you're going to do. So if I told him, hey, I'm going to send you listings, I do it until he says stop or he says he bought something else or until he dies. Like I will, and then even after that, there will be executors to the estate. They should also get those listings. I will find them. And then follow back is going back to everybody you've ever worked with. Just because a client is closed doesn't mean that
they're not a client anymore. Touching back base with all the people, happy birthdays to the kids, touching base, how's the dog doing, little things, and it's all free. And that's the crux of my business, is following up with people and then following back with them and then doing what I say I'm going to do every single day. That is it.
My day starts the night before. I clean my entire inbox. I'm going to be here for a while. My inbox right now got up to just over 1,000 today, and now I'm at 156, so almost there. I look at every single email and I respond to everybody. In a little bit, I'll start talking to my email assistant. His name is Jasper, and he helps organize and categorize all my emails. And I'll talk to Renee. Renee is my scheduler to make sure that tomorrow is all set up. I'll touch base with Jordan and Yolanda to make sure that all big game items are taken care of. And I'll touch base with everyone on my team that I'm meeting with or pitching with tomorrow to make sure that they're on track for everything that we need to do. And my biggest fear in life is wasted potential. And that's it. And that's what drives me every day. That's why I'm here fucking at 10 p.m. at night in the office by myself. Hello, is anyone here? No one's here. No, just me and Hamway. Hamway, say hi. Hamway hates me right now. I'm gonna stay here and do emails. Hamway, you can go home. You don't have to stay here and watch me all the time. But you guys, here's what I want you to do. I want you to leave comments, right? I love these comments. I love when people leave comments because I want to answer all of them. I just told you what my nightly routine is, Monday through Friday. What's your nightly routine? What do you do to prepare for tomorrow? What do you do to psych yourself up, to get excited for tomorrow? And how do you wrap up your day? Do you write things down in a notebook? Do you just go through email? How do you do it? Maybe you do something better that I could learn something from. And maybe people who are watching this are gonna read comments and are gonna say, wow, I learned something from this girl who does this amazing thing every night before she goes to bed to set her up for success the next day. What's your nightly routine? Leave it in the comments. Let's talk about it.